Oh, wow. It seems to have gone up immediately this time. Last time I tried a live stream via YouTube, I was waiting for ages and ages, and we missed a really nice sunset. But now it seems to be live. Please let me know if you're watching, if there's any problems with the sound or audio. I'm very distrustful of YouTube live streaming since my last attempt. So, welcome to those of you who are here. It might end up being a shorter live stream this month because it's a very busy month. I've not long since got back from the coast where we had my 40th birthday getaway. And tomorrow we start our journey towards Poland for a week of filming where I'm going to attempt to document what's been going on in that country in terms of activism. So it's a very hectic month, a very hectic week, certainly. And I might end up doing a shorter live stream this month, if you don't mind. But if you do have any questions, it would be lovely to hear them. Let me just take a look. So Heidi's there. Hi, Heidi. No problems with audio or video. Excellent. And Never Perching also reports all good. Excellent. I think I have just 2 questions to get started on. So that gives all 5 of you now watching. Oh, 4. I've lost one. Just saying that. That gives all 4 of you watching ample opportunity to think of any questions or comments that you want to share. It doesn't have to be a question. You could just say anything, quite frankly. I'm still going to read it and share my thoughts. Oh, down to 3 now. Gosh, hemorrhaging viewers. I'd better entertain you all in some way. So 3 Freethinker 610 on the Patreon post says, I'm still wondering where the money goes, like the cool billion that Watchtower got for the Brooklyn real estate. I know you said already that Watchtower does not have any financial transparency, but do religious organizations in the US or charities in the UK not have to disclose anything about what they do with their money? Or perhaps you could speculate a little. As far as I'm aware, Freethinker, they don't have to divulge what they spend their money on specifically. I could be wrong on that, but the only documents I've seen, like the tax returns, just give a broad overview of the income and outcome. The income and the expenditure. And even that's a little bit difficult to draw any hard conclusions from because, of course, Watchtower has multiple legal entities, not just in America, but dotted around the world. So it's a little bit difficult to say with any degree of certainty just how much the organization has, and certainly what it's spending its money on. I will say this: the money that Watchtower made from selling the Brooklyn portfolio, I think we've figured out that it would have been 2 million. Sorry, not 2 million. Much more than 2 million. 2 billion was made by Watchtower on selling the Brooklyn portfolio. In terms of assets, I think it came out in a case that the organization is worth 1.6 billion, and I think we estimated in terms of revenue that the organization makes around about the 2 billion mark, money coming in each year. So when you think about it in those terms, the fact that they're already making a couple of billion anyway, an extra couple of billion from the Brooklyn real estate, will disappear more quickly than you would think, especially if they have been operating at a deficit or if they owe money to banks or whatever. Don't underestimate just how quickly they can make a couple of $1 billion vanish just by trying to keep their heads above water and just by operating normally, basically. So I don't know whether that's helpful for you. Again, it's impossible to say with any certainty precisely because of the lack of transparency from Watchtower, which is immensely frustrating. You'd think there'd be at least some accountability to witnesses, but they're not even clear or transparent about how much money they make from selling property. So you have to deduce the 2 billion figure by adding up various reports in the media and that sort of thing. They're not open about even that figure with ordinary witnesses, which I think says a lot. They want to keep witnesses guessing, because if witnesses knew that they made 2 billion from selling Brooklyn, maybe they'd want to donate less, which is quite underhanded when you think about it. Okay, so going back to so Freethinker says, "Hi Lloyd, my first time in the live chat. Exciting. Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying yourself there." Heidi says, "She reminded me of my little sister, whom I haven't seen in 7 years, when she was just 6 years old. She's 13 now." I'm not entirely sure who you're talking about there. I'll read the previous. I can't see it. Maybe it's not showing me all the comments, Heidi. I feel as though there's lots of context I'm not seeing there. And Never Perching. Oh, there's now 7 watching, so numbers fluctuating, but we seem to be going roughly in the right direction. For those of you who are just joining, I was just explaining earlier that you shouldn't be surprised if I end the live stream a little bit early this month, because it's a very hectic month and I've got a day of driving facing me tomorrow. We start our trek towards Poland, and the first leg takes us to Vienna. And in Vienna, I will be interviewing, hopefully, Misha Verele, who is a Austrian ex-Jehovah's Witness writer and activist. So I very much look forward to sitting down with Misha and seeing what he has to say. Never Perching says, "Hi Lloyd, I'm interested to know if you have heard from Ted regarding giving a public talk." No, I've not heard back. How it works is you just submit your proposal, or you recommend yourself, I guess, and you provide a bunch of links to say who you are. And the idea is that you just send all of that information off to Ted, and it's a case of don't call us, we'll call you. So maybe whether they have me on like a B or C or D list or something, I have no idea, but I haven't heard anything from them yet. But it's something I'm clearly keen on doing, and if I don't hear anything in the next few months, I suppose, I don't know, I'll maybe try reaching out to them by some other means. So Heidi says, after Freethinker's comment, yeah, all I have after Freethinker's comment is where you said she reminded me of my little sister. Maybe you're talking about Jessica? I don't know. Freethinker says, thanks for trying to address my question about the money. Is there any chance you might travel to the US West Coast? I'm located near San Francisco. More chance probably than any other part of America, because my friend and colleague Javier, with whom I'm doing the Truth About the Truth, is located in LA. So especially over the last couple of years, I've found myself in LA more than in any other part of America. And I was in LA, and Nevada, and Utah back in April. I've only been to San Francisco once. That was back in 2017. But it was a beautiful city, and I'd love to go again. I remember feeling quite frustrated that I wasn't able to linger a bit more and just appreciate the atmosphere, because we were on like a whirlwind kind of book tour promoting The Reluctant Apostate. So I just didn't have time to absorb the ambiance of San Francisco, but it's a beautiful city. Heidi says, apparently there's comments going missing or something. I think so, Heidi. It's a shame. YouTube letting us down, it would seem. And Never Perching says, all the best for Ted. Plenty of room at the Never Perching house if you come to Ireland. Well, that's very kind of you to say. I love Ireland. I've been a few times, not for a few years now, though, actually, come to think of it. I think possibly the last time I went would have been around 2008 was the last time I was on the Emerald Isle. Furthest west I've been would be like Galway parts around there. So beautiful part of the world, Ireland. I think there's a new comment. Let me just try and refresh the Patreon page, because I think there's a new comment come through on the original post, but my internet is disturbingly slow considering that I am in the midst of live stream. So if you have any further comments while I'm waiting for that page to refresh, please do send them my way. Friedinka says, I recently scrolled down through some of your old videos. You did a series called Our Spiritual Heritage. Oh, that is old school. Wow. Reading from decades old literature. Maybe you could pick that up again. It was fun. I tell you why I didn't pick that up again, Freethinker. And I did enjoy doing that. It just wasn't quite as spectacular in terms of views as other videos. So back in those days, it was like the early days of doing my JW broadcasting rebuttals, and I just noticed significantly more views for the rebuttals than for those particular videos. And they do take a bit of research as well, because I have to basically, especially if it's a book, I have to go through the book, not necessarily reading from front to back, but certainly skimming through to see if I can find any interesting tidbits. And so for the amount of work that I put into making those videos, I didn't necessarily see the return in terms of views. So I suppose if you think about it, a lot of my videos do refer back to the older publications. So I think I've just amalgamated the process into other formats where I'm dealing with a specific topic, such as, examples of Watchtower predicting Armageddon. I did a video where I went through all the different dates and quoted from the Finnish mystery and that kind of thing. So I do still do roughly what I was doing in those videos. I'm just a bit cleverer in, explaining the relevance and doing it according to topic rather than according to publication, if that makes any sense. But I'm glad that you have an appreciation for some of the old school material I was putting out. Okay, so now the page on Patreon has refreshed, and Erin says, hi Lloyd, not a question, but I just wanted to let you know that I can confirm that this week an elder apologized to my sister via her husband. I know you always say elders never apologize. Sigh, it's a hilarious but maddening story she says she would love to share with you. I don't think it really counts as an apology. So the elder apologized to my sister via her husband. It's not really an apology if it's not face to face. I'm sorry, it doesn't really count. Because I recount in my book of how I was once in a standoff with my local elders because they screwed up, and I said, if you want to meet with me, I'm fine meeting with you, but only once you've apologized for doing this specific thing that you've done wrong. And I knew full well they never would apologize. And I suppose it's good that he apologized through a middleman. But no, it's crazy how prideful elders can be. They really don't like being caught out. So let's see here. Heidi says maybe some comments go to the dark void of YouTube's dark chest of wonders. Heidi, who knows where they go to? Wherever they go, I hope they're not alone. Freethinker says the old stuff just really reveals how cuckoo the whole doctrine is. Couldn't agree with you more. One of the things I like about having my collection of Watchtower materials down here in the bunker with me is because it's constantly there when I'm making my videos, and it's kind of a reminder of just how many generations of Jehovah's Witnesses have been under the thrall of Watchtower's deception over the decades. Heidi says, to Freethinker, most religious doctrines are cuckoo, but that of Watchtowers is just that of the worst sort. And Never Perching says, Freethinker, my favorite is the Revelation book. As Lloyd said once, it's absolutely bonkers. I definitely think that. And I never did get around to doing a spiritual heritage video on the Revelation book, but I don't know where you'd begin, quite frankly. It would need to be like if I was to do a video on the Revelation book, firstly, it would feel like a fairly, what's the word? Pointless task, because so much of what's in that book is now obsolete in terms of new understandings of prophecy. They really kind of need to update it, really. But there's also just so much to go on. It would be very challenging to squeeze everything into just one video. But it's an interesting thought. I might put something in the Medo-Persia vote along the lines of a review of the Revelation Climax book. But it wouldn't be our spiritual heritage. It would be my review of the Revelation Climax book. Free Thinker says, you are right, but the fun thing about Watchtower is that they put everything in writing. To which Heidi says, indeed. You see, at this point, I'm just reading out a conversation that's going on in the live chat. But if you do have any questions or comments, actually, Heidi does have a question. When is the video with Deanna in the bunker coming out? Heidi, that's a great question. It's ready. The only thing that stopped me from uploading it so far is Deanna wanted to see it before it was uploaded. And I think she was only a little bit, I think she was kind of tongue-in-cheek about that. But in any way, I arranged for it to be on her laptop for her to watch it. And I still don't know whether she's watched it. So I'm actually in the process of uploading it now anyway, because she was only kind of half serious about wanting to see it first. I think she even said, in a way, it would be better if you just uploaded it and then I just have to deal with it, you know? She just doesn't like being put front center and publicized. But yeah, expect the video. I guess once this live stream's over, then I will continue uploading it. It's about halfway uploaded so far. I've had to pause the upload. So basically, as soon as this live stream finishes, I'll get the upload going again, and I would then imagine maybe an hour it will take to be up on the channel. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. It was an interesting conversation. We were a little bit handicapped by the fact that I'm quite ill, and I was even more ill the other night when we were filming it. So I was kind of battling through this, trying to, when you've got flu and all you want to do is just vegetate and you feel very lethargic. Well, I was having to kind of fight these feelings of lethargy to present this interview. And we also had Julia in the bunker because it's quite complicated, but we could only do an interview. I could only interview Deanna in the bunker if Jessica was having a sleepover with Deanna's parents, and if we had Julia with us, because we can't. Julia's still too young to just be left alone. So we actually had Julia in her car seat in the bunker. And for the most part, she was fairly quiet. There were one or two times when she made a bit of noise and we had to stop. And then towards the end, she just started kicking off and making a racket. And I just said, you might as well just hold her. So for the final, I think 5 or 10 minutes, Deanna's being interviewed while holding Jessica. Sorry, not Jessica, Julia. And Julia is trying to tear down the microphone, and she's very grabby at the moment. Everything's got to be grabbed and pulled and yanked. It's a nightmare, in fact, when I hold her and she's grabbing my beard really tightly. So we managed to wrap up the interview before Julia laid waste to the bunker. And I hope you find it enjoyable. The only thing I regret, actually, about that interview is I forgot to ask Deanna to do a message in Croatian, which it's quite a nice little habit that I've had, where if I'm interviewing someone who is a native speaker of another country, I just ask them to say something in that language to camera. And I forgot to do it with Deanna, but maybe there'll be another opportunity to do that in another video. A few comments, few questions. Wow. So the 8 of you now watching are pulling your weight and making sure that I'm well fed with material. So Freethinker says, after the Josiah drama rebuttal, I bought The Bible Unearthed by Israel Finkelstein. Excellent. It's really a great read. It provides a great perspective on the Old Testament and the agenda of its writers. I couldn't agree more. It's a really good book. And I find as well, when I'm reading books like that are written by people who really know what they're talking about, or have done objective research into the Bible, rather than trying to push some religious narrative, they're just telling it like it is. I often think, if only Watchtower studies or book studies could have been like this, because the Bible's actually fun to learn about when you're not kind of sugarcoating it, or when you're not trying to put a certain interpretation on it or make the Bible say something that it's not saying. When you're just talking about the Bible from a scholarly viewpoint and from an archaeological viewpoint, I actually find it quite fascinating to learn about it in that context. And so, it's quite frustrating to think of the kind of not even watered down, the twisted version that we had to swallow as JWs. Heidi says, that's how it goes sometimes. I've been interviewed while being taken pictures of for a newspapers, and I always want to see everything before it's being published. Yes. So you're talking about Deanna wanting to see her interview. Yeah, I mean, look, it makes sense. But I think Deanna was kind of she was being a little bit coy, I think. I don't think she really desperately needed to see it first. And if she really did want to see it, she would have seen it when I checked up on her and said, "Have you seen it yet?" And she said no, and she'd had the opportunity to see it for a number of hours. So I don't think she's that desperate to see it. I think she's just being a bit coy. Let's see. Freethinker says, by the way, why is the bunker called the bunker? I've watched many of your videos, but I missed the piece of info. So the bunker is called the bunker as a nod to some videos that were shown at the 2016 Remain Loyal to Jehovah convention, where there was a series of videos depicting Jehovah's Witnesses in a basement or bunker setup, because the idea was that they were evading the authorities who were hunting them down during the Great Tribulation, and they were huddled together in the bunker, kind of patting themselves on the back for being so spiritual and bemoaning the fact that one of the members of the congregation called Kevin wasn't with them because he wasn't spiritual enough. He didn't have the appetite, for example, to go cart witnessing right outside the door of where he worked. So he was judged to be unworthy, and so he couldn't make it into the bunker. So yeah, I called it the bunker really as a homage to not just to those particular videos, but also this whole kind of doomsday, Great Tribulation paranoia that is increasingly prevalent in some of the propaganda material that Watchtower is producing. Heidi says, especially now that I'm being interviewed and photographed for a book. Well, that sounds interesting, Heidi. I hope that that project works out well, and yeah, I'm interested to know what the book's about. Looks like you are in demand. And Never Perching says, could you tell us about your experience of meeting Angus Stewart? I attended each day of the Royal Commission. He's been my personal hero ever since. Angus was a delightful man, very sweet, very kind, very intelligent. Yeah, it was a real honor to meet him. I didn't imagine. Well, it was unlikely that we would get to meet him at all because he's now, I think, a federal judge or something like that. He's a judge in any case, no longer just a lawyer. And so there was quite a lot of doubts that we would even be able to interview him, because it's problematic to for a judge to be seen to be kind of commenting on issues of this sort of nature. But credit to Javier, my co-producer, who was very persistent and who basically wouldn't take no for an answer. And he decided that he would directly approach I think the court that Angus is one of the judges for, and explain the importance of the project and why we absolutely needed to hear from Angus. And Angus was also very, what's the word? He made it clear to his superiors that this was an important thing that he would like to do. He felt that he should be involved in it. So yeah, lots of things came together and the stars were aligned and it finally worked out well. And I can't wait for you guys to see that and other interviews when we finally are able to finish The Truth About the Truth. Freethinker says, how is your own knowledge of Croatian coming along? I imagine it's a hard language to learn. It is quite hard, and I don't think I'm a natural linguist. I think that I think everyone has their own kind of unique set of talents and skills. And I like to think I have certain talents and skills, but I'm pragmatic in kind of realizing and embracing the fact that language just isn't one of those skills. And It's a shame because I would like to be able to speak Croatian fluently since I live in the country and since my in-laws are Croatian and their English isn't very good. But just on practical level, it's difficult to incentivize myself, and has been in the 10 years that I've been here, simply because Diana's English is fantastic, and therefore there's no on a day-to-day basis, I don't really need it. And the relationship I have with Diana's parents as well isn't we're not kind of inclined to want to get into long conversations. So there's just no real impetus really to know Croatian fluently. Although I do know, I call it kind of survival level Croatian, so that I know a few words, I know how to say a few basic things, and it tends to get me by when I'm out and about on my own. So yeah, so that's basically what my knowledge of Croatian. I know a few words, I know how to express certain requests or whatever, but if it starts getting into a conversation where questions are asked, I will quickly unravel. Heidi says, well, it's slightly not safe for work type of material for this situation to talk about. If I told too much, understood, Heidi, understood. But it's nice again that you are in demand, and yeah, I'm sure you relate to wanting to see material before it's published. And Freethinker says, how well does your daughter speak English? For her, Croatian is probably her dominant language, right? Actually, Jessica's predominant language or dominant language is English, and although she does speak Croatian, so it's actually quite interesting because I'd heard of the capacity for children to be multilingual. I mean, you hear that it's possible for children when they're exposed to two different languages to end up speaking both. But I was amazed to actually see it happen in Jessica's case, because she spends a lot of time with Diana's parents. They obviously speak Croatian to her because they don't actually know that much English anyway. So when she's with me and with Diana, she's speaking English. And when she's with Diana's parents, she's speaking Croatian. So, and we live in different parts of the house. So it's literally the case that when Jessica goes downstairs, she starts speaking Croatian. When she comes upstairs, she starts speaking English, and it's practically effortless. So yeah, I'm very, very proud of her in that respect. Never Perching says, I had 2 witnesses call last week, and they were shocked when I said living forever would be a nightmare. Yeah, I don't think many witnesses really think it through, do they? Just how crazy it would be to live in that environment where you're spending every day and night praising a God who has committed the biggest act of genocide the world will ever have seen. Such a sickly sweet sort of existence, just living on a world of Jehovah's Witnesses where loyalty and obedience to God is unquestioning. And well, I've discussed it many times on the channel. And Heidi says, but I think in this context, it would be safe to say that it's about breasts. Women with various backgrounds tell the stories and their relationship to their breasts. Heidi, I don't think too much can be said on that subject. So glad that you are tackling it head on. Yeah, it sounds like an interesting book that you're involved in. And Freethinker says, I once traveled to Montenegro and was excited to order paradise salad in a restaurant. Paradise salad. I wonder whether that's because you're saying I was expecting something quite wonderful. Then I found out that paradise is the Montenegrin word for tomato. Yeah, it's basically that in Croatian as well. So yeah, you were expecting some kind of utopian salad where everything was blissful and be a few mixed fruits. I'm guessing what would be in a paradise salad: mixed fruit, bit of coconut. Let me think. You'd have some kind of nod to pandas, whether it's maybe like panda shaped candies or something. That no, that's it. You'd have, instead of what's the word? Instead of those little crunchy bits of bread that have a fancy word that I can't think of the name of, they would be panda shaped, and that would be the reference to pandas. So that's what would be in a paradise salad: mixed fruit, panda shaped, whatever they're called. What are they called? Croutons. Heidi has come to my rescue. Mixed fruit, panda shaped croutons, and shaved coconut, I think, would be in the paradise salad. If you wish to dispute any of those ingredients, please give me your suggestions. All 7 of you who are now watching. And look, I think I'm at the end. And furthermore, I'm of a mind to just linger for the next 5 minutes or so before wrapping up early, as indicated earlier, so that I can continue in my preparations for the long trip to Poland tomorrow. Never Perching says, I can't speak for everyone here, but you look exhausted. I personally won't take offense if you want to call it a night. Take care of yourself. Well, that's very kind and understanding of you. And Freethinker says, if you are ill, you should go get some rest. So yeah, well, what I'm doing immediately after this is trying to get some filming done while I'm still in the bunker, so that when I'm out on the road in Poland, I can do some editing and get the August rebuttal, JW Broadcasting rebuttal, uploaded. I'm like halfway through doing the filming for that. So I think I'm going to soldier on, but I am ill still, but I'm definitely on the, I'm through the worst of it now. It's just the occasional cough. But I do appreciate your thoughtfulness in letting me leave early. Gail M. Hi, Gail, says, have a safe trip and keep up the strong work. Thank you so much, Gail. And I think I'm going to be dreaming of paradise salads tonight, and what ingredients a paradise salad might have, in addition to panda-shaped croutons, mixed fruit, and coconut shavings. What more do you really need? I would argue, in a good paradise salad. So that's been very enjoyable, and thank you again to all of you for your incredible support of the John Cedars channel and the work I'm doing. Look out for an upload in the very, very, very near future, because again, Deanna's interview video is on its way to the YouTube channel. Freethinker saying thanks for the chat. Thank you, Freethinker, for your questions. And Never Perching, thank you. Safe travels. Freethinker, I'll work on the panda crouton technique. Yes, we need to perfect that technique. We can't have a paradise salad if we haven't perfected how to make panda-shaped croutons. So something to think about there. Okay, guys, I will let you all go, but thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all soon.